My boyfriend dumped me halfway, leaving me to find my own way home while he sped off to comfort another girl. That girl was just worried that someone might be following her. But me? I actually encountered a real danger. After the bad guys hurt and killed me, the system gave me a prompt: "Host, you failed to complete the mission with the male lead and are about to be erased." I laughed. I haven't failed yet. Just wait and see, system. Today was supposed to be my engagement party with Parker. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend. I died last night. I fell from a high, unfinished building and died instantly. At that time, Parker was rushing to rescue another girl. Parker called me, his face darkening with each unanswered call. "Alice, if you don't answer soon, we might as well cancel the wedding." Well, if I'm dead, I can't exactly answer the phone. My mom and brother were anxiously fidgeting beside me, trying to put on nervous smiles. Were they worried about my well-being? No, they were worried about what would happen if I didn't show up and offended Parker, the wealthy one. My brother's wedding house and dowry were at stake. My mom yelled, "You useless girl, not answering the phone or showing up. Are you dead or what?" She was right, I was dead. In the corner, my best friend Bella was gently tugging at Parker's sleeve. "Parker, do you think Alice got angry because I asked you for help last night?" Her eyes were red. "It's my fault, but I was really scared last night." Parker furrowed his brow, speaking softly, "It's not your fault. I didn't tell her." Bella's eyes misted over. "Hope Alice doesn't misunderstand. She's my only best friend." Hearing this made me want to laugh. Bella was just another person tainting the term best friend. Afraid of misunderstandings, she still arranged to meet Parker alone last night? Last night, as Parker and I were heading back from the suburbs to the city, he took a phone call through his earphones. I could only hear bits and pieces. The caller was a woman, repeatedly saying someone was following her, sounding scared. Her voice was vaguely familiar, but not clear enough. Parker frowned, but his tone was unusually gentle. "Don't worry, I'll come find you right away." After hanging up, Parker thought for a moment and told me he had something to do and it wasn't on the way. "Alice, can you take a cab home?" Though phrased as a question, his tone was definitive. I remained seated, unmoving. "What's the matter? Is there something I can't come along for? Is there someone I'm not allowed to meet?" This was the first time I spoke to him so insistently. Parker was my boyfriend and boss. He might have been used to my usual docility, and a hint of irritation crossed his face. "Alice, we're getting engaged tomorrow. What are you so afraid of?" I opened my mouth but had no reply. It wasn't fear, I just didn't like feeling deceived. I got out of the car, and fine drizzle began to fall from the sky. I wanted to get back in the car to grab an umbrella, but Parker sped off, clearly in a hurry to meet the other girl. He completely ignored whether I could get a cab or if I'd get drenched. The location was really inconvenient for getting a cab. The area was desolate, surrounded only by a few unfinished buildings. As it got darker, only a few streetlights flickered. I squatted by the roadside, cycling through multiple ride-hailing apps, but no drivers were available. As anxiety began to rise, so did the danger. A middle-aged man suddenly appeared from one of the unfinished buildings. He seemed to be waiting for a cab too, but his sinister gaze was fixed on me. I looked at the dark, empty asphalt road, feeling a pang of panic. I wanted to leave, but the cab wasn't arriving. I wanted to call the police, but there wasn't enough cause. After all, he hadn't done anything yet. My heart started to pound with intense unease. When I called Parker, my palms were sweating. "Parker, can you come back and pick me up? I can't get a cab." I didn't dare say someone was watching me because he was right beside me. At first, Parker tried to reassure me calmly. "Alice, with so many ride-hailing apps available, you can easily get a cab." The wind and drizzle made me shiver. I was trembling, almost crying. "I really can't get a cab. Please come quickly." Parker sounded a bit impatient. "Alice, I really have something to do. Don't be so obsessive." "The threat is getting close to me," I said in desperation. "If you don't come to get me now, I'm not going to the engagement party tomorrow. There was a slight breath on the other end of the line. Parker's tone turned icy. Alice, don't use that to threaten me. Before I could question what he meant, after all, I had never threatened him with not attending the engagement, the call ended abruptly. At that moment, my phone was suddenly snatched away. In the shadow, I gave up on my phone and ran quickly. But the disparity in strength between us was too great. He still managed to grab me, dragging me into the unfinished building. My calves scraped against the rough cement floor, leaving bloody streaks. I stood on the edge of the 7th floor, trembling and pleading, I'll give you money, cards, and passwords. Take whatever you want. He grinned, revealing yellow teeth. My wife used to like wearing skirts too. You cheap women like wearing short skirts and making fools of others, don't you? He was clearly insane, the kind of person who wouldn't care about money. What had I done wrong? Just because I was wearing a skirt, I'm going to scratch your faces and stab you with 10 or 8 holes. Let's see if you're still cheap then. His face was twisted with madness, like a bloodthirsty devil, advancing with a switchblade. There was no way to avoid him, and I stepped backward, falling off the 7-story building. One moment I was experiencing the agony of being shattered. The next, I was floating in the air, my body soft as a cloud. On the ground below, my face was terrifying. From a height of 7 floors, how could I have survived the fall? Somehow, I floated to Parker's side. In an alley, under the yellowish streetlight, he was holding a girl in his arms, comforting her, patting her back. It's okay. The person you saw was just passing by at this time. He wasn't following you. The girl looked up, her eyes full of tears. It's happened several times, so I'm scared. Despite having suspected from the phone call earlier, seeing it with my own eyes was still shocking. She was my best friend, Bella. It was only in death that I realized the two people who seemed so irreconcilable to me were actually like this privately. The feeling of betrayal was sickening. Parker affectionately touched her nose. Still as timid as you were when you were young. After doing this, Parker seemed to remember something and quickly withdrew his hand. Young? I mulled over these words, feeling a bit confused at hadn't they only known each other for a few months? Soon, I got my answer. You didn't tell Alice you were going out, did you? Parker seemed to remember something and gently let go of Bella. No, I'm afraid she'd overthink things. Alice is quite insecure. Bella forced a smile. I called you on impulse today, didn't expect your number hadn't changed. But don't worry, I've never told Alice that we're first loves. Parker's face was partially hidden in the shadows, his expression ambiguous. Tomorrow, I'm going to propose to Alice. Let's not bring up the past. Bella's face turned pale as she bit her lip tightly. Parker frowned, unaffected. I drifted beside them, motionless. I watched Parker escort Bella to the entrance of her building. If it had ended there, I could have deceived myself into thinking Parker had some genuine feelings for me. Unfortunately, reality was like a sharp blade, cutting into my heart once more. As Parker turned to leave, Bella suddenly ran up from behind and hugged his waist tightly. Parker, I still can't forget you. What should I do? What do you say? Tears glistened on Parker's back. In that moment, Parker suddenly turned around. It seemed like Bella was the one who made the first move. Their lips and teeth intertwined. Parker, who was usually so calm and composed, looked entirely different, so reckless and passionate, something I had never seen before. At that moment, even as a ghost, I felt superfluous. Suddenly, an electronic voice echoed in my mind, "Host, your mission has failed and you are about to be erased." In the flash of an eye, I recalled everything. I was on a mission in a tragic romance novel. The goal was to win the male lead's love and become his wife to succeed. Due to a system bug, my original memories were erased, making me believe I was the original protagonist when I was actually just the host. It was only after my death that my original memories were triggered. I smiled and said, I haven't failed. System, just wait and see. The system remained unmoved. I tempted it, give me a month. If there's a chance for a turnaround, Please give the original protagonist a chance to be reborn. And if you fail? Do whatever you want with me. It doesn't matter. The system, with a look of anticipation, agreed. I turned my gaze back to the alley. Parker had already pushed Bella away. He frowned. Alice, she has helped me a lot, and my grandmother likes her very much. I can't possibly break up with her. This sentence seemed to pierce Bella's heart. Her face reddened as she shouted, "You don't know what I've done for you. Since you hate me so much, what can I do? To get closer to you, I could only become Alice's friend. I thought you were just dating her to appease your grandmother, with no love involved, and that you could break up at any time. I didn't expect you to get engaged. So that was it." No wonder she was so clingy from the moment she joined our company. She made me snacks, accompanied me during overtime, helped with miscellaneous tasks, and always had a bright smile when she said, "Alice, can we be good friends?" I haven't had many friends since childhood. I felt a pang of sympathy. The original protagonist Alice was born into a family with a preference for boys over girls. I experienced her life in its entirety. It was a life lacking in love. While other kids played happily with their friends, I was at home giving my brother a bath, feeding him, and keeping him company. If my brother accidentally got hurt, my mother, who came home from playing mahjong, would slap me in anger. Useless thing, what did I raise you for? If I had any spare time, it was meant for studying. Only by studying well could I have a future. After enduring to graduate from college and start an internship, my mother began making me support the family. 3,000 salary, spend 1,000 yourself, and give the remaining 2,000 to your brother. She ignored the fact that my rent was nearly 800 yuan a month. When Parker allowed me to advance my work and lent me money during difficult times, his small acts of kindness made me view him through rose-colored glasses. Later, when he proposed, I agreed. Due to my background, I was easily swayed by Bella's enthusiasm and became her good friend. But at that time, Parker despised her. Has the company's hiring standard dropped so low? They are hiring anyone. He hated her so much that he made HR fire her. He frowned. The company does not keep idle employees. Bella begged me to speak up for her. Bella's business skills are lacking, but her attitude is okay. Can we give her another chance? At that time, I was Parker's girlfriend and also his assistant. He was the company's boss. I had been with Parker for 6 years, from when he started from scratch to the current situation. I had stayed up countless nights with him and drank countless toasts. Parker saw my efforts. Thus, he agreed to my request. He kept Bella but continued to dislike her. He would show a cold face whenever he saw her. He even publicly criticized her work, threw away her printed reports, and told her to leave. Bella, with tears in her eyes, apologized and was as humble as could be. Perhaps, hatred and love are opposites. At that time, I naively thought Parker just disliked an inefficient colleague. I had no idea that they had a deep, unforgettable relationship in a foreign country. Bella proposed the breakup. Prideful Parker then hated her. Linen regretted it and returned to chase after him. In daily work, there were subtle signs I had ignored. Parker, who never ate sweets, would eat the small cakes Bella made. He would check if she had an umbrella when it rained. When we were all working late together, he would rush her home. "Your reports are a mess, get out and let Alice handle it." At that time, he forgot I was still taking cold medicine. He even handed over a project I had been working on to Bella for practice. I felt a bit wronged. This is my first project as a project manager, and I value it. Parker didn't care. Being an assistant for so many years is fine. There's no need to change positions, even though I was capable of being a project manager. He couldn't understand my thirst for a career. He turned around and hugged me. "Alice, let's get married. First, the engagement. Everything of mine is yours. Why worry about those things?" I admit I wanted a home of my own. To nurture a baby and give him a lot of motherly love. I have a strong obsession with my loveless childhood. Plus, with my mother's divine assistance, I've told relatives you are getting married. Don't embarrass me. It's rare that Parker is willing to marry after all these years. I almost thought he just wanted to play with you. The engagement was already set without giving me time to think. If last night's incident hadn't happened, I should have been at the engagement party, accepting everyone's blessings, even though I didn't know if it would bring happiness. But at least, Alice would still be alive, right? My spirit floated like a cloud, drifting in the sky. I watched them from a third-person perspective. As time passed, I still didn't appear. My brother muttered angrily. Mom, my sister is really asking for trouble. What will happen to my wedding house if she doesn't come? Mom told my brother to be quiet, fearing Parker would hear. Parker was leaning against the wall in the corridor, frowning. The air was heavy, and he smoked furiously. Bella didn't dare to approach. When his phone rang with another missed call, Parker suddenly grabbed a bottle of champagne from the cart and smashed it. I'm about to get engaged to her, and she still wants something? I don't want anything. I'm already dead. I could feel the bleakness in the original body. They were all blaming me. But no one asked if something had happened to me, if I had had an accident, which was why I couldn't come. At that moment, two hotel staff whispered to each other. Have you seen the news? There's a victimized female corpse at Jean High Beach. It's terrible. It seems she died last night. The family hasn't come to identify the body yet. Bella was stunned upon hearing this. Could it be Alice? Parker's sharp ears caught this too. He sneered, impossible. She didn't go to Jean High last night. I scoffed. He didn't understand, did he? The assailant had staged the crime scene and thrown me into the sea. Unexpectedly, I was washed ashore by the waves. She said last night, if I didn't pick her up, she wouldn't come to the engagement today. It was just a tantrum, Parker said, still unable to reach me on the phone. He started texting me. Alice, appear within 10 minutes, or the engagement is off and we're breaking up. Bella joined in. Parker, there are many prominent guests at the engagement party today. What if Alice doesn't show up? Parker took a deep drag of his cigarette, his eyes reddening as he looked at Bella. If she doesn't come, you go. Bella was stunned. That's not appropriate. There was a hint of barely perceptible surprise in her eyes. My mother and brother, upon hearing this, were gnashing their teeth. This worthless person, if she doesn't show up soon, her husband will be snatched away. 10 minutes later, Parker hadn't waited for me but received a call from the police. They informed the family to identify the body. After hanging up, my mother turned as pale as a ghost, her lips trembling uncontrollably. They said we need to identify the body. Alice? Alice is dead. The air was thick with deathly silence. If a soul could snack on melon seeds, I'd probably be crunching away right now, watching the scene below with great interest. The expressions of everyone there were quite fascinating. Bella, after the initial shock, showed a bit of relief. My brother looked irritated, probably worried that now that I was dead, he'd lose the benefits promised by me. My mother seemed drained, collapsing onto the floor. How could this happen? It's impossible, she looked fine in the video yesterday. Without comparing to my brother, my mother still had some affection for me. Parker leaned against the wall, his face grim and silent. The fingers holding the cigarette trembled slightly. His voice was calm, like during a business meeting where decisions are made. Alive, we need to see the person. Dead, we need to see the body. I floated with them to the identification scene. The sight of my body after falling from a height was truly horrifying. Bella and my brother were unwilling to get close. When they saw the scar on my left arm, my mother finally broke down in tears. What a sin, it's her, it's my daughter. That scar was from when my younger brother, playing with firecrackers, had injured me as a child. The remaining bit of motherly love in her gave her a touch of resolve. She trembled as she questioned Parker, wasn't she with you last night? It's worth noting that she usually held Parker in high regard as a son-in-law. Parker stared at my broken body with disbelief, then slowly turned his head. His voice was hoarse. She got off midway. 20 minutes later, I went back to look for her but couldn't find her. I thought she had gone back. Oh, so he actually had a bit of a conscience and looked for me. Too bad, I had already met my misfortune a few minutes before he started searching for me. My mother blurted out, "Parker, how could you let her get off midway?" My brother stepped forward and subtly indicated to her not to provoke Parker. My mother immediately swallowed the rest of her words. See, even mother's love has limits. Even in death, she prioritized my brother's interests. Hearing my mother's words, Parker's eyelids twitched. He fixed a sharp gaze on Bella. Last night, was someone really following you? Bella, feeling guilty, lowered her eyes and forced out a few tears. Of course, how could I lie? Bella lightly scratched her left fingernail, a habitual action when she was lying. It was all a self-directed drama. The system was also watching with interest. Host, it seems that not only him but everyone in this room has no feelings for you. Do you still have a chance to turn things around? I chuckled. Scumbags usually don't repent immediately. No need to rush, just wait a bit longer. A week later, Parker calmly went to work. Everything seemed normal, and good news came. The Hingyuan group, which had been at a standstill for 2 months, finally agreed to sign the annual cooperation agreement. When a colleague from the sales department handed Parker the documents, he didn't even look up and casually said, "Alice needs to review the contract amount again." The colleague held the document without moving, and Parker looked up, remembering something. He loosened his tie irritably and dialed the internal line. "Get me a drink." One of Parker's other assistants quickly brought a cup of coffee. As Parker looked at the documents and took a sip of coffee, he frowned deeply. "Is this what I usually drink?" "Yes, I brewed it according to Alice's method, but for some reason, it tastes different." It seemed he still hadn't gotten used to my death. At that moment, the administrative department manager knocked on the door and brought a framed photo. "President Parker, this is a group photo from the last company team-building event. Alice had mentioned putting one in your office." Parker glanced at it. "Why isn't she in the photo?" "President Parker, you've forgotten, Alice didn't attend the team building that day. She was at Hingyuan." The administrative manager, who usually had a good relationship with me, spoke candidly. "Bella nearly messed up the Hingyuan order. It was Alice who negotiated with the other company for a month to secure it, so she was at Hingyuan during the team building." Parker was silent for a while. "Put Alice's face in the photo." "Ah?" The administrative manager looked confused. "Put Alice's face in the photo. Didn't you understand?" The administrative manager, a bit speechless, had no choice but to comply. Parker, remembering something, opened the third drawer on the left. Inside were piles of notes I had written. Oh, he hadn't thrown them away. "Parker, remember to take your medicine in an hour." "Parker, review the second document first." "Parker, don't be angry, okay?" With hand-drawn smiley faces. Hundreds of notes, all reminders I used to stick on the corner of his desk. Over the years, I had played the role of Parker's work partner, assistant, and girlfriend. The accumulated presence was the hardest to erase. When he came across a light blue note, Parker's face gradually darkened. "Parker, you got angry and left me yesterday. Don't do that again, I'm most afraid of being abandoned." The day before writing that note, Parker had been at his lowest point, drinking heavily to secure a deal during a company downturn. Seeing Parker's flushed face, I took a few drinks for him. The other party, seeing me drink happily, tried to refill my glass. I stiffened a bit, and Parker's face was already dark as ink. He angrily pulled me out of the private room. "What are you drinking for? Go home." I didn't leave. "We're almost closing the deal, no need to be stubborn and leave now." On the way back, we continued to argue about it. I got out of the car in anger, squatting by the roadside and crying, watching him drive away. A few minutes later, he came back, pulling me into his arms and repeatedly apologizing. "Alice, don't cry, don't cry. I won't do this again." Unfortunately, the night before the engagement, he broke his promise and abandoned me again. Parker stared at that note for a long time. So long that his eyes reddened, and he struggled to hold back tears. After that day, Parker stopped going to work. He often drank himself into a stupor at bars. I watched him down glass after glass of whiskey, repeatedly looking at my photos on his phone. I mocked, "TSK, who's this deep affection for?" His gaze suddenly turned towards me. My soul shivered slightly, hoping he could see me. "Parker, don't drink anymore." Oh, it was Bella, swaying her way to Parker's side. She looked at Parker with wet eyes. "Alice's death was an accident. Those who are alive should live well," she said. Recently, she had been intentionally or unintentionally approaching Parker, hinting that she was still around. Parker's slightly tipsy eyes suddenly turned sharply toward Bella. "Whether Alice is here or not, I will not be with you." "Why?" Bella was incredulous. "Because I love Alice." After saying this, Parker himself seemed to be in disbelief. I was also surprised, as was the system. The system was puzzled. Is human love like a faucet, just coming and going? I sighed, only after losing something do you realize its value. It's a petty side of human nature. Bella's face went pale. "Do you really have no feelings for me?" Parker looked at his glass with a dazed expression. "Didn't you test it in the alley last time?" He sneered. "I felt nothing from your kiss, did I?" Alice bit her lip, looking unwilling. "Parker, you've forgotten. Alice isn't sincere. Her family only sees you as an ATM. Suddenly, a trace of resentment appeared in his eyes. Her feelings for me were not pure, and I hated that about her. But I hated even more that she just left like that. I was confused. When did I ever treat him like an ATM? Over the past year, his attitude towards me had gradually grown colder. Did he really think I was after his money? Bella didn't expect to lose out to a dead person. She shouted angrily, "She's dead. Alice is dead. I'm still alive." Parker took a large swig of alcohol, his eyes red, staring at Bella with a sinister look. Suddenly, he forcefully grabbed Bella by the throat. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have left her that day." Bella's eyes were filled with terror, her face turning red. "Please, let go." He released her, taking unsteady steps as he prepared to leave. "You're to handle your resignation procedures at the company tomorrow." He suddenly stopped. "Bella, I never want to see you again." Bella's face turned ashen. Parker found a chauffeur and raced to the old house in the suburbs. Parker's grandmother, who had limited mobility, lived in seclusion at home. This kind and elderly woman's palms were always warm, like her healing smile. Whenever I visited before, she would hold my hand and say, "Alice, what would you like to eat? Grandma will make it for you." And each time I returned home, my mother would tell me, "See what your brother wants to eat, and make it for him." But now, Parker's grandmother had a stern face, looking at him with impatience. "What are you doing here drunk?" In front of his grandmother, who had raised him, Parker let down all his defenses, tears streaming down his face. "Grandma, I was wrong. I shouldn't have left her that day." Parker's grandmother snorted, tapping Parker's back with her walking stick. "I'll beat you, you little bastard. Alice was such a good girl. You didn't cherish her while she was alive, and now you're regretting it after she's gone." Parker said nothing, allowing his grandmother to scold and hit him. "Grandma, don't you understand metaphysics? Help your grandson, please." "If Alice were still alive, I would definitely treat her well." The grandmother laughed in anger. "You've drunk yourself senseless. Dead people cannot be brought back to life, and you're relying on metaphysics?" Half drunk and half awake, Parker continued to beg his grandmother. The grandmother had no choice. "Go to the Buddhist temple and kneel, knock your head 100 times, and see if God will help you." Parker, a graduate of an Ivy League school, completely abandoned his previous atheistic education and relied on metaphysics. He knelt on the mat and earnestly began to knock his head. The grandmother watched in exasperation, unwilling to pay him any more attention. What a sin! Parker repeatedly smashed his forehead against the bluestone floor. Even when his forehead became bruised, swollen, and bleeding, he did not stop. With his forehead resting on the bluestone slab, he murmured, "Alice, I was wrong. Please come back." I watched, unmoved. If it weren't for the system, the unfortunate original Alice would have died long ago under the desolate unfinished building. System, although late love is like grass, does it still count as him having feelings for Alice? The system nodded thoughtfully. You may be reincarnated. My soul was instantly drawn into a whirlpool of darkness. My consciousness was lost. When I woke up again, it was in Parker's car. I glanced at my phone, and the date showed it was the night before the engagement. I looked out the window, a few streetlights were scattered, and we were about to reach the unfinished building. At that moment, Parker's phone rang again. My heart skipped a beat. Was history about to repeat itself? This time, I wouldn't get out of the car even if it meant dying. If he wanted to leave, he could go by himself. Sure enough, Bella sent another distress call. I turned to look at Parker. He furrowed his brow and said coldly, "Yes, if you're in danger, call the police. I won't go." And he hung up the phone without hesitation. Alice, you're awake? Parker looked at me with deep affection. I was surprised. This was something that didn't happen before my reincarnation. How had the plot changed? The system was also silent, without any sound. Parker remained silent, his long fingers gripping the steering wheel tightly. Soon, the car stopped outside my apartment building. Parker said meaningfully, "Alice, tomorrow we're finally getting engaged." I felt a bit puzzled. Parker seemed a little strange now. Parker and I stood on stage, accepting everyone's blessings. "Alice, I will treat you very well from now on." Next day, I went to the engagement banquet as usual. Everything went smoothly. He looked at me with deep eyes, making a promise. I smiled slightly. Who cares about the future? After leaving the stage, Parker's phone rang again. He had already turned it off several times. On the last ring, he turned and walked to the corridor to answer it, his face darkening inch by inch. He hoarsely said to me, "Bella has suicidal tendencies. I'm going to check on her." It turned out that after Parker hung up the phone last night, Bella had encountered two real scumbags. She was assaulted. I remember that before my reincarnation, she had staged this herself. Could it be that karma had come around? But what does that have to do with me? I smiled lightly, but our engagement banquet isn't over yet. Parker looked at me, his Adam's apple moving. "Alice, I'll be back soon." I looked at him and smiled. "Parker, your first love Bella won't take her own life. Bella is a person who values her life." Parker looked surprised. "Can we talk about it when I return?" I shook my head, not wanting to hear it. Parker furrowed his brow. "Alice, you've always been so kind. Why are you so aggressive today?" I used to be very kind before my reincarnation, yet I still ended up tragically dead under the unfinished building. Parker left me again, hurriedly walking away, his figure quickly disappearing at the door. Even though I was reincarnated, being abandoned once more still caused a slight sting in my heart. The guests present, especially the relatives and friends my mother had invited, looked at me with pity. "Mom, I want to cancel the engagement," I said calmly, taking a sip of wine. My mother hesitated for a moment. "It's embarrassing, just cancel it then." But my brother exclaimed, "Mom, don't you remember? The $2 million we asked from the brother-in-law. If she cancels the engagement, how will we get it?" I stood up abruptly. "Are you crazy? Why do you need so much money?" "Lost some money playing cards," my brother stuttered. I suddenly remembered what Parker and Bella had said at the nightclub. "You didn't ask for it in my name, did you?" This was the first time I spoke to my brother in such a harsh tone. He was momentarily stunned. "Brother-in-law really likes you, so he gave it." No wonder Parker once asked me, "Do you really need this money?" I thought it was about a project bonus and firmly said, "Yes, I deserve it." For the project I stayed up late working on, the reasonable bonus was something I should get. But from that day on, Parker's look towards me grew colder. My mother was furious when she heard this. "How dare you ask for so much money?" "Mom, I'll definitely win it back. Do you want to see me getting my hands chopped off?" My brother argued with righteous indignation. My mother still hesitated. For your brother's sake, let's not cancel the wedding. Mom, don't you feel anything about how biased you are? I asked. My mother's face turned red and pale. Why have you changed so much? Why did I have to earn money for my brother's tuition, dowry, and wedding house, and now be sold off because of his gambling debts? My mother mumbled, it's only right for a sister to take care of her brother. My brother stubbornly said, Parker has money. What's wrong with asking him for some? Their greedy faces were truly disgusting. I coldly said, I didn't take a penny of the 2 million. You can return it yourself. My brother gritted his teeth. Alice, are you still my real sister? His real sister Alice was a typical sibling helper, but I wasn't. I'm canceling this wedding today. I ignored them and walked straight out of the banquet hall. System, since I'm engaged to the original book's male lead, that counts as completing the task, right? Host, your mission was terminated from the day you were reborn. The role has been reassigned. Why didn't you say so earlier? You didn't ask. System, you're really something. I asked, System, how did Alice's brother get involved in gambling? I arrived at Bella's hospital room. A young doctor with an air of confidence collided with me. This is a VIP ward. Family members need to register at the front desk. I smiled and said, I'm not a family member. Do rivals need to register? The young doctor was momentarily stunned. After a brief interruption, I pushed the door open. Bella was lying weakly, and Parker was sitting beside her, feeding her porridge. The warm scene of a handsome man and beautiful woman was quite eye-catching. Is this what Parker meant by, I'll be right back? The inherent nature of men, wanting both the blemish and the perfect moonlight. Bella had a slight cut on her slightly raised wrist. It was so shallow, it probably wouldn't bleed much. When I walked in, both Parker and Bella were taken aback. Bella quickly forced a smile. Alice, Parker and I aren't like you think. Don't misunderstand. I smiled too. Don't mind me. Continue feeding her. I just have a few things to say and then I'll leave. I handed the resignation letter and ring to Parker. I'm starting at Hing Yuan Group next week. They've hired me as a senior project manager. I looked at him. What if you don't? Here's the ring back. Find someone else to marry. I think Bella's a good choice. Parker's expression darkened instantly. Do you think I would agree? Parker licked his molars and smiled. If you can get 2 million now, I'll agree. He knew very well that I couldn't provide that amount. The money is from my brother. Whether you believe it or not, I had no knowledge of it. I suggest you report it as fraud. I walked to Bella's bedside. You're not some innocent flower. If you put that effort into your work, you wouldn't be so foolish as to not produce a decent project proposal. Bella's face darkened, and Parker furrowed his brow. My brother repeatedly asked you for money because he was addicted to gambling, and the person who led him into it was my good friend, Bella. I asked, System, how did Alice's brother get involved in gambling? I arrived at Bella's hospital room. Looked pained. Alice, how can you slander a good friend like this? I looked at Parker. You'll find out. Bella's uncle runs the gambling den. Bella screamed. Do you have any evidence? I have recordings of you and my brother. I'm about to play them. Bella suddenly panicked, grabbing my phone and throwing it against the wall. Don't play it, don't take pictures. Please, don't take pictures. She got out of bed, clung to Parker, and cried helplessly with tears streaming down her face. Bella's genuine guilt led her into a frenzy. Fool, I don't have any evidence. I'm just bluffing. Yet, the clever yet foolish Parker falls for it. Alice, Bella has been photographed by them. The doctor said she can't be stimulated. I've said my piece. I'm leaving now. I turned to leave her room, not wanting to see her fake performance anymore. Suddenly, Parker grabbed my arm. Alice, don't go. Under the shade of a tree, Parker's voice was hoarse. I'm sorry. Are you referring to abandoning me halfway in the last life or leaving me during the engagement in this life? Parker looked shocked. Alice, you're also reborn? As I guessed, we were both reborn together. Parker, do you know how scared I was that night? Falling from the top of the building, my bones shattered. I didn't die on the spot, I died from the pain. Parker's eyes reddened slightly, filled with guilt. After I died, my soul still lingered. I saw you two embracing and kissing in an alley. And thinking, every time you openly scolded her at work and secretly helped her, I felt like a joke. My words seemed like a judgment of our past. In both lives, you were so sure I would wait for you. Parker, you're too confident. Parker's throat moved, struggling to say, does this mean you won't forgive me? No, a glimmer of hope appeared in his eyes. Forgiveness or non-forgiveness both represent emotions. The opposite of love is hatred. What I mean is, Alice's future will not include any part of you. The light in Parker's eyes dimmed. So you don't even hate me anymore? I smiled faintly and said nothing. As I prepared to leave, there was a commotion in the hospital ward. A voice in the crowd cried out, there's been a murder. It was my brother who killed Bella. My brother's eyes were red, his face dark and dejected. He looked like someone who had spent the whole night gambling, losing all rationality. Seeing me, he seemed to wake up from a dream. I just borrowed money from her. She always lent it to me. Of course she would, the gambling den was run by his uncle, so her money was just moving from one hand to another. Bella seduced my brother into the gambling den, and it eventually backfired on her. It's tragic. Her original plan was that with a gambler brother, and Parker marrying me, divorce was very likely. Why go through all this trouble? System, does Bella have a mission? No, she's following the script of a vicious female supporting character. Parker does. After rebirth, his target is you. My heart trembled. So he failed? Yes. I was very clear about the consequences of failure. My brother was sentenced to prison for intentional homicide. My mother cried more than when I died in the previous life. She cried so much she ended up in the hospital. Alice, help your brother. Save him. Mom, he's a murderer. How can he be saved? My mother's eyes were fierce. It's all your fault. Why don't you just die? I smiled slightly. I've already died once. I won't die again. I whispered in her ear, you'd better keep quiet, or I fear you'll have no one to care for you in your old age. My mother's face turned red with anger, but she obediently closed her mouth. As I closed the door and walked out, I heard the family of a patient in the next bed criticizing my mother. Such a biased mother, no wonder she raised a murderer son. We should change the ward. It's unlucky to stay with the mother of a murderer. Poor mother, for the rest of her life, she would carry the title of the mother of a murderer. Winter passed and spring came, everything renewed. My work at Hing Yuan Group went smoothly. Within a year, I got 2 promotions. It's time to consider my love life. The shy and gentle young doctor I bumped into in the hospital seems pretty good. He's devoted and love-struck. He said, if I marry him, I'll never have to worry about rivals needing to visit. Alice, will you marry me? Under the night sky, the young doctor's eyes sparkled like stars. The moment I put on the ring, a cool breeze seemed to blow around me. Oh, he's still here. The system said, after Parker was erased, his soul was unwilling to leave. Just like how I watched him, he watched me from afar. If that's the case, I curved my lips into a smile. Then I must cherish this happiness even more. After all, that's the joy of rebirth.